Yeah, I think I'm going to do this weekly. Hey there, hi there, ho there, Andrew here, reviewing, recapping, and reacting to Season 6, Episode 11 of The Walking Dead called Knots Untied, and it's probably called that because Jesus escapes his room. We begin the episode with Abraham flirting with Sasha, and after patrol, she tells Abraham that she's not going to be doing patrol anymore, and Eugene's taking her place. Abraham spends a little intimate time with Rosita, and Rosita gives him a necklace that is made from a brake light, and then invites him to the shower with her. Ladies, this is how you confuse men. Some one-on-one time? That's good. A gift? Nice. Made from a brake light? Not sure if I'm reading that sign right. Then inviting into a shower? That can be confusing, all I'm saying. It's like saying no meaning yes. No meaning yes? Yes. Later on, we see Maggie disappointed about how the crops are doing, and Glenn says, it's okay. It's okay. I have realized Glenn is only here to provide emotional support to Enid and Maggie now. You have outlived your usefulness, and we will miss you. Last episode, we saw Jesus in the middle of a Rashon situation, and now the entire community is there, and he explains that he snuck out and looked at the entire layout of the camp. He noticed their stockpiles of their food and their ammunition, where everybody lived, and he did all of this before going in and seeing Rick and Michonne. I just thought he probably now realizes if Abraham is Dolphin Smooth or not with Rosita. Jesus makes the offer to take the group to Hilltop, and we see Daryl working on, I think, Dale's RV. If anybody knows that is Dale's RV still, can you leave a comment and tell me? And during this time, Carl goes ahead and tells Rick that he approves of Rick's relationship with Michonne. Well, you're a bit late for that. Now comes the moment that will make me look at breakfast differently for the rest of my life. Abraham doesn't really understand why Glenn and Maggie are happy about Maggie's pregnancy, so he asks Glenn the great question of if when he poured the Bisquick, was he trying to make pancakes? A what? It really makes me think if Donkey was meaning something else when he said he was making waffles at Shrek. Or maybe even IHOP is actually a house of ill repute. While in the RV, Rick drives up to an accident on the road, and Jesus says that he thinks it's his people, which of course makes Rick and crew think it's a trap. They go ahead, scout out the area, and rescue the people of Hilltop, and one of the rescue is a doctor named Harlan. Freddy, who a guy Abraham almost killed because he thought was a walker, explains that his life flashed before his eyes and he saw his wife who had already passed. This, of course, makes Abraham reflect on the situation. The crew gets to the gate of Hilltop, and this scene has all the seriousness tone of this one. They get inside the gates of Hilltop, and we see that Hilltop is actually a decent community inside the walls, and I have to say this. Kudos to the production company for creating such a great Hilltop from scratch. I mean, it looks exactly like the comic books here. Jesus takes the group to the leader of Hilltop, whose name is Gregory, and Gregory is an egomaniac. He doesn't want to speak to anybody in the group until they clean up, and mentions to Rick that it's very hard to keep the place clean. What a jerk! This guy, as a leader, definitely has a God complex, but I can't blame the guy because if your right-hand man's name's Jesus, you probably have a God complex too. Maggie eventually speaks with Gregory, and Abraham talks to Daryl about settling down, and Daryl says in his own words, basically, you can't settle down in a world that isn't settled down already. And that makes Abraham reflect even more on his dilemma. His dilemma. Seriously, he's got a domestic relationship with Rosita, and he's got this apocalyptic office romance going on with Sasha. Maggie and Gregory discuss options as Gregory hits on Maggie, and the discussion ends when he realizes things are not going his way, so he gets fed up and sends her away. Some people come back through the gates of Hilltop, and they mention this. Negan killed 2 of their own and is holding one because their offering is light. Then this big dude named Ethan has to send a message to Gregory from Negan, and he stabs him right in the gut. This, of course, makes a skirmish take place, and one guy almost chokes Abraham to death, and while this is happening, it seems that Abraham has heard Sasha's voice. This, of course, makes Daryl come to Abraham's aid, and then Rick takes out Ethan by stabbing him right in the throat. And during this little standoff moment between Hilltop and Rick's crew, we see that Hilltop basically has spears, which is about as silly as this right here. That's 2 Wizard of Oz references. Daryl helps Abraham up and asks him if he's alright, and Abraham responds back with, I'm better than alright. Then we see Rosita's brake light necklace that she made for him laying on the ground, which must have been knocked off when Abraham was getting choked, so I think it's safe to say that Rosita is going to get dumped. Man, what could be worse than living in the apocalypse? Getting dumped! dumped while living in the apocalypse. I mean, that's basically someone saying, I wouldn't be with you if you were the last person on earth. Literally. Later on, Jesus explains who Negan is and who the saviors are, and my inner fanboy squeezed with delight because I know what's going to eventually happen. Rick mentions to Hilltop that he can rescue the person that is being held hostage from Negan in exchange for supplies, so basically Hilltop hires a bully to go and take out another bully. Rick gets info about Negan from a guy named Andy, and Dr. Harlan goes ahead and does an ultrasound on Maggie to see if the baby's okay. The last scene that we get a chance to see is Rick driving away in the RV as all the crew is passing around an ultrasound picture of Maggie and Glenn's new baby, and Abraham looks at it, smiles, while looking at Glenn. This leaves a couple of questions. We all know that Abraham has basically picked Sasha over Rosita right now, but will Sasha show the same in return to Abraham? She might not be over Bob yet. And what happens to the Hilltop if Rick and crew cannot seal the deal by taking care of Negan? I will say, in the TV show right now, there are currently more people in Rick's group than there was in the comic book at this time. But somebody's got to die, so who do you think is going to go by the end of the season? Leave a comment below and tell us. If you like the video, tap the like button. Make sure that you share with your friends whether you agree or disagree, because this channel only grows with you. And I will see you in the next video.